Welcome back to Across the Diamond, brought to you by Diamond Prospect Media. I'm Kennedy Hale, Central Florida Area Scout, and joining us as always, our West Florida Area Scout, Mr. Jet Rosenstein, and our Scouting Director, Mike Merritz. How are we doing, guys?
Great, thank you.
What's going on, man?
Doing pretty good, man. So let's get right into it with a quick recap. Mike, you were down in Tampa for the Saladino tournament this week. How was it, man?
Really a lot of great baseball talent. We had to dodge a little bit of the weather, so some time changes here and there, but they did a great job of being able to get everything in. Got the opportunity to see 3 or 4 games, and it started at the nightcap with a pair of games at Jesuit High School, Higher Family Park. Beautiful place to watch a game. First saw Wharton go ahead with Ryan Fry on the mound, and we'll kind of touch on him later from a draft standpoint, him as a 22 arm. But the game that followed was between Hillsborough and Jesuit, the home team, obviously. One of the really kind of standout arms that Jesuit threw out there from a younger perspective was McCall Bymiller. He earned the win in his outing, striking out 11 in 4.2 innings. Really loose, quick arm, obviously more in the tank. Featured a fastball that was mostly like 84 to 86, touching a 7, a lot of run. And really what was impressive, though, was his above average curveball at 74, 76 miles an hour, 2,400 plus RPM, along with a 79, 80 mile an hour changeup that he threw occasionally. So he's a really strong follow moving forward, especially as a 24 arm from a left-hander perspective. So he's going to be someone that I'm sure we're going to be mentioning quite a bit here, not only in the high school season, but the summer season as well. Um, Another player really liked, another 2024 middle infielder, also hopped on the mound and showed off a pretty interesting curveball too, was Cam Malo of Hillsborough High School. Really a strong follow moving forward. Top the lineup guy, really can make an impact throughout the lineup. Loose, quick hands offensively, drove the ball gap to gap. Saw him put together a pair of hits and then a hard liner past the second baseman in the bottom of the seventh during his second game that ended up being the game winner. So he knows how to step up. And the biggest thing is putting the ball in play in those situations. And he's someone of what you call of a gamer. He's a confident defender up the middle, above average arm to the bag. On the mound, he ran it up to 85. And that curveball I was talking about earlier was 72, 74, but he can really spin it 2,500 plus RPM. So it generated a lot of swings and misses, a lot of depth, as you can see kind of throughout there. And he was a really interesting two-way follow. Obviously, his upside is as a position player, but he's just a gamer. So that was another one. And then obviously, we'll kind of touch on this, but saw Eden Longoria last week, and he put in, another strong outing. And in fact, since we've kind of been on the podcast, he ended up committing to USF the other day. So we definitely want to wish him a congratulations. Obviously, we've seen a bunch of him recently up to 91 on the mound. Obviously, there's a lot of upside with him, and we're going to be seeing a lot more of him, I'm sure, high school season because he's the ace of that Plant City squad, and then
Hmm.
obviously on the O Stingers top 2023 team throughout the summer as well.
For sure. And Jet, you want to highlight a little bit your pastime seeing Plant and Jesuit as well and what you expect from them a little bit more?
Yeah, so Mike was going into it a little bit in regards to the Saladino tournament. Plant actually won the tournament, and the interesting part about that is they were able to get revenge over Sickles. The game before the tournament, they fell 12-2, so it
Mm.
was nice for Plant to kind of get their revenge on Sickles in this tournament. But I want to highlight some of the notable performances throughout Plant's tournament run because there were definitely some names that really got it going throughout this tournament and have been really strong throughout the course of the season so far. The first guy is 2022 uncommitted outfielder and catcher Conley Strayer. In this tournament, he was 7 for 17 with 4 RBIs, and on the season, he's hitting 469 with 6 RBIs. And then, in addition to that, 2022 uncommitted middle infielder pitcher Thomas Bolton. At the top of that lineup, he's really been a constant source of offense. In the tournament, he went 8 for 13 with 2 RBIs, led off every game. He also hopped on the mound for 5 innings of 1 run ball, contributing to a 2.39 ERA on this season. And then another notable player from throughout this tournament was 2022 left-handed pitcher uncommitted Ben Salesman, who put together a nice performance in this tournament. 5 2/3 innings pitched, 0 earned runs, and 7 Ks. He's only had 1 earned run given up in 12 innings throughout the course of this season so far. But now that we're past this tournament and looking ahead, Plant's been putting together a nice season so far. They're currently 8-3, second in their district. Looks like that district is going to come down to East Lake, who is 7-1, and Plant. The other teams in that district are at or below 500. Some notable games coming up in April for Plant. First, you get to see the Sickles rematch once again, the third game between these teams this season, and then another game against 7-4 Strawberry Crest and 8-2 Wharton. Some other names to keep an eye on. Actually, a guy that I was able to see pitch in the last Plant game I saw, 2023 left-handed pitcher Robert Satin. Very funky delivery, but he throws strikes and is able to keep hitters off balance. The ERA is a little bit higher on the season at 4.36, but he has great stuff, and he can also swing it at the plate. He has a 400 batting average, 9 RBIs, and 1 home run. And then the other team that I was fortunate enough to see who played Plant a while back was Jesuit. And obviously, if you're familiar with the team, they have a lot of talent on this team, a lot of guys that are committed to D1 schools all throughout the country. Right now, they currently stand at 9-4 and third in the district. It's looking like their district's going to be a three-way race between Freedom, who's at 7-2, Hillsborough at 7-3, and Jesuit at 9-4. Upcoming games to round out March, there's going to be two undefeated teams on the road that they're going to have to face: 12-0 Berkeley Prep and 9-0 Calvary Christian. That big district matchup in Hillsborough in April is also going to be a big matchup to keep an eye on. And a lot of the same guys we've talked about, whether it's on our social media or just on the podcast in general. 2022 uncommitted infielder Jack Martinez, 2023 Vandy commit Wes Mendez, 2022 FSU commit Jamie Arnold, as well as 2022 FSU commit Ryan Dennison, and then 2023 commit Jake Kulikowski, and 2022 Pitt commit infielder AJ Nestler. A lot of guys to keep an eye on in the lineup, in the rotation, and in the bullpen as well. So definitely keep an eye on both of these teams as we head into the final stretch of the season.
Most definitely. And I'm looking forward to some coverage for him as well. Mike, I might have to lobby for one of those games. I know I'm a Central Florida guy. I can make a quick drive down. It's no problem at all. Trust me. Well, actually,
Yeah,
gas prices,
absolutely.
it might be a problem this time. I take that back. We're going to shift over to Central Florida a little bit. These past couple of weeks, there have been a few standouts I've seen, one of which is Ryan Ashford. The 2024 lefty can really swing it at the plate. He's had a few deep shots this year that if the wind was just a little bit more his way, he'd have 3 extra dingers on the year. Definitely, as he continues to develop and put on more power, he'll be something special going forward. Another one as well is Anthony DeVita of Apopka High School. We saw him earlier at the power tryouts this year, and he definitely showed a development at the plate. He looked more physical. He got more feel for the barrel as well, and just had some really good line drive shots down the field and deep into the gaps as well. This year for Apopka, he's been a really hot bat. They've even put him in the DH position because they know what he can bring to the table offensively. And another one as well is Nick Gioa, catcher for Lake Mary High School as well. Showed some power at the plate, had a home run in their last game against Lyman that we covered as well. Didn't get to talk about it on
Yep.
the pod, but we're able to bring it up here as well. Definitely excited to see what he brings to the table offensively and as a backstop as well going forward. And Jet, you want to speak a little bit on one you see with Robbie Mitchell of Oviedo High School, the 2024 pitcher as well.
Yeah, I've actually never had the privilege to see him in person yet. But Kennedy, if you want to come over here to West Florida, and I can go over to Central Florida, and we can switch, so I can get a look at Robert Mitchell, who's 2024 uncommitted. He's at Oviedo High School. From what I'm seeing in the video that I've seen, a very strong athletic build, solid foundation in his lower half. It seems like he has a lot of advanced tools for his age, considering he is a 2024 grad. At the moment, his fastball is sitting between 85 and 87 with a high of 88, and he's improved his velo in the past several months, so that's a great sign going forward, considering he still has a few more years left in high school. The ball definitely seems to jump out of his hands, and it has some life as it's heading towards the plate. In general, though, he does a great job of commanding the zone, generates a lot of swing and misses. That curveball, I saw a few different shots of the curveball. That downward bite on it is really a big thing for his arsenal. It has an above average spin rate, and it really toys with hitters each and every time he takes the mound. So far this season, he's been primarily used as a reliever. In 7 1/3 innings pitched, he's allowed only 1 run, 2 hits, and he has had 6 strikeouts. So another guy definitely keep an eye on going forward. 2024 uncommitted pitcher Robert Mitchell.
Hmm. We'll be highlighting him along with his teammates of Oviedo High School as well a little bit later. Mike, we've gone through West Florida, Central. You want to bring us home with some South Florida coverage real quick?
You got it. May as well
All
round
right.
it out, right? So one we'll bring up right away here, and actually, a pair of these guys are on the same team, and we've had the opportunity to see them a couple times now. Julian Irizarry, really strong follow moving forward, uncommitted 2024 outfielder, top of the lineup guy. Obviously, we know that he has a lot of present pull side juice, which I believe he translated earlier this week. He had a home run. Obviously, his job at the top of the order is to get on base, create havoc on the base pass, score the run, get the offense rolling. But there's a lot he can do from a power potential as well. So he's one of those guys that will get on base, but has some sneaky power, especially from the left side. And to kind of build on that, I mean, he's an aggressive runner on the base pass. He's pretty much everything that you would expect out of someone in the leadoff spot there. So that's really a key thing that he brings to the table. And then from a defensive perspective, he plays left field. He was able to chase down a ball into the gap, in the left center gap, that looked like it had extra base hits written all over it. So able to turn, make a quick first step, catch the ball pretty much over his shoulder, and get the big out. So there's a lot to like from the table there, and he's very physical, athletic. So he brings a lot kind of from a overall lineup perspective. Um, Another one is Robert Nedry. He really obviously has stood out for us from an offensive point of view from the left side of the plate, but he's really got some smooth, confident hands up the middle. He's able to kind of funnel the ball up into his glove really easily. The throws are above average across the diamond. Little key in on our name right there. And he can
Hmm.
really turn it. He works well up the middle with anyone that's kind of with him at second base. And he's just another guy that you probably have at 2, 3 in your lineup, and is not only going to make a difference offensively, but he's going to give your pitcher a lot of confidence playing behind him. He's going to make the plays. He's going to be a contributor, and he's going to be an integral part of the lineup. And then finally, kind of with some additional South Florida stuff, South was Mateo Serna of American Heritage, who 2023 outfielder, and wow, he really has a lot of present physicality. Left-handed hitter as well. There's kind of a run of the left-handed bats here, but he's extremely physical. Crushed a no doubter home run off the left center wall, which was also the scoreboard too. So I mean, the ball really jumps off his bat. He's obviously a guy you have in the fourth or fifth spot in your order to really drive in the run. So he's an interesting bat that on the American Heritage team is someone to kind of keep an eye on. They're another one that has a lot of different commits riddled throughout their lineup, whether it's Brandon Berry area over at Vanderbilt, Eric Blair going to Florida. That team is another one that's going to be probably in it near till the end.
Sure, definitely excited to highlight them more as we get deeper into the season and even in the summer. And speaking of
Right.
the summer a little bit, this June 15th, we will have the Central Florida Summer 2022 Showcase at Lake Brantley High School here in Central Florida. Registration is now open for the 2023 to 2026 grads. It is a link that we'll post below as well. We'll have a pro style workout along with bullpens as well. This is a great way to get your videos and stats and additional exposure in the early part of the summer. Whatever you need to send out to whoever may need it, coaches, whatever it may be. You also keep this video as well. There's no subscription required. Once you purchase it, it is yours and it will be available on our YouTube as well. All players will be outfitted in a beautiful DPM shirt that I rock repeatedly to the gym. Definitely looking forward to highlighting all the players that will be in attendance. Now, Jet, can you highlight a little bit? J.W. Mitchell is going to be taking on George Jenkins.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to heading over to this game, the third JW Mitchell game that I will be going to this season, and it's looking more like I'm the official scout for the JW Mitchell Mustangs. But I'm excited. I look forward to it every time. A lot of great talent always on this JW Mitchell team, and it's going to be an entertaining matchup between these two teams because right now JW Mitchell sits at 9-2, George Jenkins sits at 7-2, currently at the top of their respective districts, but just highlighting some of the names that I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye out for. A lot of the same names we've heard about from JW Mitchell, but I'm definitely excited to see some of these names on George Jenkins. For JW Mitchell, obviously 2023 infielder, Arkansas commit and MLB draft prospect Aiden Miller. A remarkable season so far, hitting over 600, and each and every time he takes the field, he is a must-watch player for sure. Along with that, 2022 catcher, College of Central Florida commit Hayden Cockman, Indian River State College commit Jace Troutner, along with other God notable names such as Chase Nystrom, Christian Madera, Zach Crawford, a St. Leo commit, and also a commit, and Ashton Crowther, who is actually in 19 innings pitch. He has a very minuscule 1.11 ERA. Obviously, there's other names throughout this lineup, but these are kind of some of the ones that I'm going to be keeping my eye out for. And then over on the George Jenkins side of things, just looking at some of their numbers, some of the guys that stand out. 2023 infielder Richard Colazzo hitting 476 with 10 RBIs on the year. 2022 first baseman CJ Hicks hitting 450 with 4 RBIs. And then their two big guys on the mound, 2022 left-handed pitcher and USF commit Corbin Little, 0 earned runs on 18 innings pitched, along with 30 strikeouts, and 2022 right-handed pitcher and outfielder Aiden Kelly and Jacksonville commit, 0 earned runs on 10 innings pitched and 19 strikeouts. I'm hoping I get to see one of those arms go for George Jenkins. I would assume, obviously, depending on days of rest, that especially in a big matchup like this, the odds are that I'll see one of these guys. But I'm really looking forward to heading down to that game, and excited to report back what I find.
Definitely looking forward to seeing some highlights from that game. Later this week, I'll be going to see Oviedo take on the Lake Mary Rams. I'm excited to see Robbie Mitchell, who highlighted earlier as well, but he's not the only quality young arm they have. They have outfielder and right-handed pitcher Caden Lopez as well. We've highlighted him at the Power Tryouts earlier this year, seen him up to 91 miles per hour on the bump. Very excited to see him, in addition to Eli Fleming as well, the pit commit. And they're both two-way players as well. They can add offense at the plate. I'm excited to see that. And not just that, I mean, there's so many quality bats for Oviedo. Like, where do you want to start? You have Isaiah Barquette, the North Carolina State commit, Danny Byes of Indian River, who's just an athletic freak, do-it-all type of guy at the top of the order, along with
Yep.
Gian Flores as well, power catcher in a compact frame. Demoy Foy as well. I could keep going, Mike, but there's just so many. This is a group that can really run up the score in a hurry, and I'm looking forward to seeing them this week. Jet, thank you for coming on as always, man. Looking forward to the coverage you're going to be providing later this week. Take care, man.
No problem. Have a great day, guys.
You too.
Thanks, Jet.
All right, guys, and this is just a quick reminder. We have three notable playlists on our YouTube that are being updated constantly. We have the high school season highlights where we're getting videos from our coverage all across the state. 2022 draft prospects for this upcoming year as well. If you want to look a little further ahead, the 2023 draft prospects as well, guys. Don't it's only taking a second to subscribe. Make sure you click the bell for the notifications as well, and just take a look through it. All right, and we're going to get into everyone's favorite time, a little bit of draft watch, Mike. And starting us off, a guy who we've said countless times, Mr. Roman Anthony.
Wow. Yeah, he just keeps showing up no matter where we end up at his games. The outfielder is not only hitting the ball out of the park, obviously in key spots, but he's hitting game winning 2 run singles to walk it off. I mean, what else can you say about him? Rips a ball into the center fielder, bottom of the seventh. I mean, they're down by a run, end up winning it by, a run in the bottom of the seventh. The crowd goes wild. We've highlighted Roman so many times, and the biggest part about it is he's just continues to show up and be a riser in the draft follows. He's everything that you look for from a 5-tool player perspective, and there's a lot of really high ceiling there, and you can bet that these pro scouts are out and about and they're watching this, and they're going to have some really tough decisions to make come later this summer when they're looking at some of the prospects that we're talking about. But make no doubt about it, he's someone that you'd want in your organization.
All right, and next man up is Mr. Ryan Fry.
Yes, Wharton High School had the ability to see him put in a start. Mostly was 88 to 90, touch to 92. Really long, lean frame. The legs really work out of the stretch. Gets a lot of swings and misses. There's a higher RPM on his fastball. The breaking ball really works as well. So he was able to kind of get ahead with the fastball and then kind of work his way through for the breaking ball. And as we've kind of mentioned before, Kennedy, anytime there's a prep arm that's 90 plus, you see the projectability there. It's always someone we're going to put on our draft follow list. So there's going to be a lot of, like we've been talking about, tough decisions come later in the summer for these pro guys.
For sure. And rounding us out, another arm, Mr. Eric Blair.
Yes. So Eric can run it up to the mound, up to 90, Florida commit. Shows a lot of feel for his off speed stuff as well. So he's also a two-way prospect, as we saw from some of his coverage uh, earlier, last week. He hit a grand slam over the center field wall. So as we've kind of, it seems like we keep bringing this up throughout a lot of our different podcasts, Kennedy, is that yeah, they can do it on the mound, but I mean they're hitting 3 4 in their lineup as well and hitting the ball out of the park. So there's a lot to like from Eric's perspective. I think he's going to be a guy that may end up Florida and after a couple of years come out and really have himself an opportunity, but you never know what happens these kind of couple months leading up to the draft and how he maybe begins to separate himself from some of the other prospects.
Looking forward to it. It's the Otani effect, man. You've shown you can do it, and now they're just saying, hey, let the kids do it, man.
That's right.
And rounding us out for this episode, we're going to get into another edition of Mike's Likes, starting off with Alex Philpott.
Yeah, really liked seeing Alex out of the relief role during the Saladino tournament, actually. Another Florida commit. We've seen him with the O Stingers. Can swing it too, plays a really solid defensive outfield position, but runs it up to 91 on the mound. And the breaking ball is really nasty 25, 2600 RPM, a lot of spin on it, throws that fastball at you right away, and all of a sudden you're behind in the count. So there's more in the tank, and he's going to be someone that a year from now, you know, there's going to be a lot to be thinking pretty much from the last subject we were just touching on. I mean, the potential is there.
Mm-hmm. And rounding us out is Andy Perez of Lake Mary High School as well.
Andy Perez, and I'll let you kind of finish on this one, Kennedy, because I know you've got a chance to see him, but he really is a do it all prospect. As I think that's one of the things you like to say, especially with a guy like him.
Mm-hmm.
He's a top of the lineup guy, drives the ball gap to gap, really gets on base, but you've also caught him making some good defensive plays too, right?
Oh, 100%. He has a strong, accurate arm. I mean, whether it's across the diamond, love to work on that title as well, or from the backstop position as well. He's impacting the game defensively, and the athleticism that he displays as well.
Yes.
It's really pushing his game to that next level. He can just do things that other people cannot because, I mean, when you're blessed where you're blessed, man.
That's right. And he's another uncommitted 2024. So we've highlighted quite a few throughout this episode that are going to be getting plenty of looks the rest of the way for sure.
All right, and that does it for this week. Mike, thanks for coming on as always. Guys, and remember to like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell for notification for when we ever post a new episode or other highlights as well.
That's
Thank
right.
you.
Thanks again.